Today we're going to talk about melodic rhythm guitar, and I'm calling it that because this is the idea of adding melodies to your rhythm guitar playing to make them more interesting, to make your parts stand out a little more. And this is something that you don't always want to do. Sometimes what the song calls for is just strumming some open chords or strumming some higher voicings or doing some other different rhythm guitar technique like chops where you're just playing a higher triad, just hitting it on a certain beat. But this technique allows you to add some real flavor to your rhythm guitar parts in a scenario where it's fitting and it is serving the song that you're playing. So we're going to look at a basic chord progression. It's going to be based on the key of C major, using the 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords, so nothing crazy at all, but it's a little bit of a creative way that these chords move into each other, and I'm just going to show you a couple of ideas of how I might add melody to a rhythm guitar part using 4-string triad voicings on the first 4 strings. So I'll just show you the chord progression I'm going to be going off of, and then some different ideas as to how I might make a really nice melodic rhythm guitar part out of this. So the chord progression that I'm going to be working with today is, like I said, it just is in the key of C, and it's using the C, F, G, and A minor. And I'm going to be focusing, it's going to start and end on the A minor, so it's kind of an A minor progression, but I'm just going to talk about it from the perspective of the key of C. So here is how it goes. I'm going to go A minor. It's 4 bars long, so I'll start on A minor to C, F to C, F to C again, then G to A minor. So that's my pattern. So, pretty basic. 6, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 5, 6. That's the basic chord pattern that I'm going to be working from, and I'm going to show you a few different ideas of how I might play over this using these 4-string triad shapes. So I'm going to show you those, starting with A minor, and we're going to go through the 3 inversions of each of these chords, because as I'm going through and creating melodies, melodic ways to play this, I'm going to be using the different inversions a lot, and that's a way that I can have a melody that's moving to different areas and have the harmony under my fingers beneath the melody note. So the melody note's going to be primarily on the 1st string. I am going to use some 2nd string notes as well, but I'll talk you through that when we get there. So I want to just briefly discuss a concept that I talk about in multiple lessons at this point that are available on my site and on YouTube. The concept is called the Big Three, which is what I called it because I haven't heard other people talk about this. Not that I really looked all that hard for it, but I think it's super useful. It's actually, I came to the conclusion that this is how I see the neck and how I can find all these triads everywhere. So the basic idea is that there's 3 triad shapes for any chord that move across all 6 strings using close intervals, and I call these the Big Three. So we have this one for A minor, which moves from the 6th, 5th, 4th string, and each string set along the way, I could make a close shaped triad, meaning I'm not skipping any notes in the triad. They're all stacked sequentially. If I take the top 4 strings 1 through 4, I get this shape. If I went to the next Big Three shape, and I take the top 4 strings, I have this shape. And then the final one would be up here or down here, but I'm going to do it up here. if I take the top 4 strings, I get this one. So my 3 inversions of A minor that I'm going to use today are these. And I'm really fond of this tremolo bar on the Strat, so I'm wiggling the notes, that trem bar, quite a bit, which I'll probably do throughout because I just love the sound of this Strat with the trem bar in the neck and middle position where you have, I guess, I can't remember which position that's called. Maybe it's like position 2 here or position 4. I don't remember what people normally call that, but it's this one. So it's a very juicy sound. Next we'll go to the C chord. Same concept, big 3. I've got the big 3 going across for C. If I take the top 4 strings, there's my chord. If I invert that up, I'm taking from this big 3 shape, second inversion, big 3. If I take the top 4 strings, I've got this shape here. And then the final one would be, I'm going to go down here for it. That's the big 3 shape all across. But this is my triad shape here. And I usually will bar this with my 3rd finger on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string, and then use my 1st finger to play that 1st string, and that way I've got a finger free to play some melody notes there. So that's the C. These are the inversions of C I'll be using, and then F and G both being major, the 4 and 5 chords in a major key being major. Those are going to be the same 3 inversions, but in different spots. Here's F, root position, 1st inversion, 2nd inversion, and of course, above the octave, just repeats. Here's my G. And those are all of the voicings I'll be using. I just want to address real quick some of the notes that you can play around these chords on the 1st string and how I think about leading them into each other. So if I'm playing, like, say, this C shape, I can easily put my pinky on the 2nd note of the scale. I've got the C right here. I've got a D right there. So I can play a little melody moving up from my root position shape into the 1st inversion shape. Then it's very easy for my pinky to hit the 5th of the scale up there. I can also hit the 4th of the scale by barring my 2nd finger like that. If I'm in the 2nd inversion shape, I've got my pinky right there. I can also do something like this, where instead of barring my 3rd finger, I use 2 fingers to get that, so I can have a little more reach with my pinky to get that major 7 there. So I can move through these shapes and basically play a major scale while harmonizing it the whole time, and I can do that for all the chords. And that provides the foundation of what we're going to do. So we're going to add some melody to this chord progression, like I said before. But I'm going to start by just showing you one pattern, one little melody that I could play over this. And this is going to just be using those inversions just like I demonstrated, but I'm going to add a little melody. I'll play it once, and then I'll walk you through how I'm thinking about this. So here it is. So that was one time through the same progression. So this is kind of a more interesting melodic way to play over this progression. So what I'm doing is I'm starting on this A minor, and I'm playing the chord followed by the note B on the first string. And the way I think about that is that I'm leading myself into the C chords, because our progression went A minor to C. So I'm going, that's the first motion. From there, I'm doing the same exact motion on the C chord that I did on the A minor. Going from the A to the B, then hitting the C chord, root position, then going from the C to the D. And that brings me right into my first inversion of the C chord. And I'm going up to the G there. So the first couple chords is A minor, C major, first inversion C major, with that melody note moving like this. And I'm just strumming the full chord and then picking the single note of the melody that's changing. And each time I strum this chord, what I aim to do is to accentuate that top note. So I could strum all the strings the exact same and it would sound louder, but what I'm doing is kind of the way that I do this is I kind of turn my pick a little bit when I'm playing these supporting notes, and then I do a little motion of my hand at the first string to get a deeper pick on that string. And I'm accentuating it more than I would just for the purposes of demonstrating it, but that is, the goal is to have that melody note really clear and ringing out on the top of that chord. So that's that. You can practice that a couple times. Then we're going to go all the way up to this, which is the F chord in first inversion, way up here at the 17th fret, 17th fret, 18th fret, 17th, and 19th. 12, 15, yep, that's right. And it gets a little tight up there, a little squeezed together, but you can do it. Then from there, I'm going to use a second string melody note to lead me back down. I'm playing the, what is that? 15, 17, 19, the 20th fret on the second string, which is just where my pinky naturally sits there. And then I'm coming back down to this C major in first inversion. So that motion goes like this. Putting that together with the first part. That's the whole first part. Next part, I'm going to go right to this F chord here. For the second part of the pattern, which starts F to C. So again, I'm just using my pinky right here to go to that G note on the F chord. Back to the C in first inversion, and then I'm going to go down to the D and then the C. So from this F, I go F up to the G note, then to the C in first inversion, and then I'm going to play D, C without any harmony beneath it. Then back up to the D, which puts me in position for this G chord right here. Second inversion G. And from the G, I'm going from the D note up to the E note with my pinky, and then I'm going to land on this A minor triad, first inversion A minor. So that's the whole little melodic pattern. And kind of the reason I'm showing you these voicings and this kind of way of playing it is that these chords really just make it pretty easy to do this kind of thing. You can, of course, do it with more complex chord patterns. You can do it with any chord patterns at all using triads, and you can come up with some really interesting melody ideas. So that is the first one. So, just as an as an alternative to playing something like this, or just the open chords, there's of course times where both of those approaches would be the best thing to play, but there are other times where doing something that has a little more melody to it, such as this, would be a really nice musical thing to play. Probably not while someone's singing because it's a little busy. If you were playing under a, while someone's singing, you could do some of these ideas but pull them back a little bit. Something like still using that idea of adding a little bit of melody on top of the chords in order to create some motion and some nice counterpoint to whatever else is happening in the song. But this type of busier melody would be great for a chord solo or for a section of a song where it's instrumental, or if it's a fully instrumental song, something like this would be real nice. So I'm going to show you another idea based on the exact same thing, just kind of using different inversions and different melody notes to create another interesting idea off of this same concept. So here I just started at a different place, using basically the exact same rhythm I did before, just to keep it simple. I'm starting at the second inversion A minor chord. And for this one, I have to, since this is a 4-finger shape, I have to take my pinky off to get that melody note up top. I'm going up to that G, and then going to the C major, try it in the same position, just the first inversion. And notice how these two chords are only one note apart. It's only one note different between the A minor and the C. So it's a very simple change. Then Then I'm coming down, playing D, C, and then playing F in the second inversion. Doing a quick little D note, back to the C. In that position, that's the root position. So then I'm jumping down to F here. First inversion. Playing the melody note of C up from the A. Then going to the second inversion C with the G on top. Then I'm going to play a quick A note before going to the G root position triad in that position. Whoops. And I'm just doing a little G, G, A, B before landing back at the A minor chord. We'll do that one more time slowly. So I could put the first one and the second one together. Let's try that. Now I've got kind of a nice melody, chord melody, on this progression. And there are lots of other options. I could change the way that I'm playing the rhythm of the melody. I could, make it more busy or less busy, but all of these melody notes that are close to the chord I'm playing are fair game, and they make kind of the easiest way to do this type of chord melody or melodic rhythm guitar part. So let's try one more. So this one, I'm just going from the C to B back to C just by sliding my first finger while keeping these fingers staying in the same position. And in this C inversion of the C chord, so I'm using the second string to play some melody notes. So I'm going from this first inversion C chord down D and C on the second string. Then to the F major root position, doing F, G, F, then back to the C major, doing that D to C again, then going down to F here, second inversion, to C in root position, then doing the same kind of motion I did before up here, but down here now, from A to G on the second string, and then here, got my G in first inversion. Whoops. And that little walk up is the B on top of the G chord, and then I'm going to bar my second finger to hit that C note, and then use my pinky to hit the D. And then resolve to this root position A minor. So those are just 3 examples of a way I can use this idea. But it extends, you can extend this and use this in many different ways. And over many different chord progressions. So I'll just show you what I might do over a different chord progression. Similar, but using a couple of different changes. If I were to do it with a progression using more chords, more different chords other than just the 1, 4, 6, 5, I could do something like this. And all sorts of different progressions. And one other thing that's nice about these 4-note triads is that with 4 notes, you always have the option of making it into a 7th chord. So I can take my C major, I could easily make it a C major 7 by dropping that top note down a half step. If I do the same with A minor 7, that's a little bit of a stretch, but another way you can do it is by just replacing the 5th with the flat 7. That's a nice A minor 7 voicing. I can also move into a minor 9 chord just from this A minor 7. If I replace the 5th, the flat 7, now I've got 1, flat 3, flat 7. I've got this root note on top. I can easily make that into this really beautiful chord. So if I go from C major 7 to A minor 9, that's a beautiful sounding progression using some more complex harmony. I can go to this A flat major 7, A flat major 7, sharp 11, by dropping the 5 down to the sharp 11. And I really think that these 4-note voicings make it easier to see some of the possibilities you can do around them. For instance, just made it to C minor, but if I go back to C major 7, and then A minor, A minor 9, there's other variations I can do on these chords. that all fall nicely into kind of the same positions. So these triad voicings are some that I use a lot, and then I also, like I was just showing, I'll modify them to make different types of chords depending on the inversion. Some inversions are easier to do this with than others, like this for C to C major 7 is simple, or C, well, that's an A minor triad, but also a C minor 6, which is the same thing as the relative minor triad. If I go up to this one, I've got a possibility of adding a 7th on the 3rd string, flat 7 or major 7. This one lends itself nicely to a little suspension of the 3 up to the 4, or down to the 2. So a lot of nice options with these 4-string triads, moving into 7th chords and more interesting, well, more dense harmony. That's all for today, but I hope that you got something out of this, and you can explore and be creative with these ideas, because there's a lot of power there in these triads. Simple triads are great tools for creating interesting ideas and great parts in whatever kind of music you're playing. So if you want to download the free PDF, it's available at my site, practicemakesbettermusic.com. If you're not already viewing there, there's a link in the description. And I'll be circling back around to more ideas based on triads, and I'll also be moving into some more dense harmony, 7th chords, 9 chords, 13s, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be doing more of that and exploring chords in different ways in future lessons. So if you like this video, come back and check out the lessons I'll be releasing every week. And until next time, practice hard and make sure to enjoy yourself along the journey, and I'll see you in the next lesson.